Okay, good evening and welcome. Thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Sequenis and I am your Greater Tampa and Wesley Chapel Realtor. And I'm so excited to have everyone here for our first episode of the Keys to the Dream live Q&A series. And so just kind of a short background of this series and why we're having this series is just because there is just such a gap kind of in the homeowner information and knowledge base and the consumers and, what they know going into that process and what that process looks like for them. Even for my husband and myself, when we bought our first home, there was so much information that we were just not aware of, that we just didn't understand. It was kind of a scary process, and I'm sure it can be that way for a lot of people during their first, encounter with real estate, whether that's buying a home or whether that's selling a home from someone that maybe they've inherited property. All of it can be just a little intimidating. And so we're just hoping with these series that we can answer some of those questions for you as consumers and kind of give you a leg up in this real estate market and all the craziness that kind of happens. And so joining me today is my first guest. I have the honor of introducing Miss Eboney De Costa, an owner and the broker for De Costa Realty. And so Eboney, I'm going to kind of give some time for you to just kind of introduce yourself.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. I am so honored to be your first guest and so excited about this series. Because yes, we want our community to be educated and to be empowered and to be excited about home ownership. So this is amazing. Thank you so much for having me. So my name is Eboney De Costa. I am the owner and broker of De Costa Realty. I've been eating, living, and breathing real estate for almost the eight years. And it is my jam. It is what I love doing. And I love the opportunity and the honor to assist anyone, whether you're buying, selling, or whatever your real estate goal is, helping you achieve that and planting roots in our Tampa Bay area. So again, I'm so excited to be here today and want to just shed any light and add any value that I can. So thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. And thank you so much for joining. So we're going to actually jump right in. But before we do, I just want to remind everyone, this is your event. This is your live Q&A. So whatever questions you have, whatever burning things you've been wondering about, please utilize the chat. Please get any questions to us that you can. We'll try to answer as many as we can if there's time. And if we can't get to you, of course, we'll just reach out as soon as we can with any information that we can. As well, if you are looking for more information in the Greater Tampa and Wesley Chapel area, even just in Central Florida, please feel free to give both of us a follow on Facebook, Instagram. I think, Eboney, you might have some other social medias as well, but you can follow me at Sequenis the Realtor on Facebook and Instagram, and Sequenis Dames on YouTube. And you can follow De Costa Realty on Facebook, Instagram, and decostarealty.com as well for any additional information. So with that, we will jump right in. And so
let's get into it. I'm ready.
So one of the first questions that I think a lot of people are kind of wondering with everything that's going on and everything is just a little bit crazy right now is now even the right time to buy?
And I know everyone hates when I say this, but it depends. No. So everyone's life and financial picture is different. So home ownership is not for everyone for a variety of different reasons. But my mindset is everyone, all of us require a place to lay our head. Everyone needs housing. Everyone needs a place to call home. Everyone needs some place to live. You can pay your landlord's mortgage or you can pay yours. So I always say, if you're in position to buy, you absolutely should. And my biggest reason that I'm a huge advocate, not just because I sell real estate or I'm a seasoned investor, is I'm a huge advocate of home ownership because the biggest source of wealth for most American families Guess what? Dun, 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 it's home ownership. So home ownership is the largest source of wealth amongst families, with the median value of a primary residence worth about 10 times the median value of a financial assets held by families. So housing wealth, home equity or net worth gains are built up through price appreciation and by paying off the mortgage. So that's why I'm an advocate. So if you're in position, you need to make it happen. It can be life-changing for you and your family. So when you think about even your real estate, not even just the real estate community, but just when you think about millionaires and billionaires, they have a huge chunk of investments in real estate. So not only is that for them, but the average American family owning real estate can be life-changing. So that's why I'm an advocate. Like, hey, if you're in position, no better time than right now.
Awesome. And I definitely agree. It's funny that you mentioned, you kind of have that opportunity to either pay that money to a landlord or essentially pay that money back to yourself in equity. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize. They kind of see that upfront figure and, you have to get into this mortgage and I'm locked into this, but there's so many behind the scenes benefits to owning homes. And you mentioned it as well, as just with investments and just having something that doesn't so easily deteriorate the way that other things like stocks can, just depreciate in such a fast way. And so having a home, even having your first home, if you're looking for multiple homes, but just having your hands in real estate is such a viable and a little bit more stable market to be in. So I definitely agree with your sentiments there. So tell me, with that in mind, what would you say the inventory has been like?
Ah. Well, it's been interesting, what I would say is, first off, I guess let me share some local market statistics, because data always, I think, helps bring a lot of understanding. Local market statistics for Hillsborough County, of course. Listeners are, if you're in a different area, Pasco, Pinellas, we love you all over Florida. So get with us if you need to know some information, whether that's regarding your home value, you're curious about how much equity you have in your home, you're curious of the average price of homes or what's going on in your neighborhood. Connect with us. Please connect with Sequenis or connect with myself, and we can get you that information. But we're speaking on Hillsborough County at the moment. The median sale price of homes are hovering at just about $400,000. Median time to contract is 38 days. So a whole lot longer than we've seen in the past, because I'm sure everybody's heard, don't buy a house now, there's bidding wars, people are paying, crazy, ridiculous amounts over the asking price. But the most interesting thing, because you're talking about inventory, is the month supply of inventory. So we're hovering over a little bit over 2 months, which we haven't seen in a very long time. And if you compare that versus last year, where we only had a 0.5%, we're up 250% versus the previous year. So buyers, you definitely have more options available to you, and the likelihood of you actually finding a home that you love and locking it down and getting it under contract, very likely. In sellers, you got more competition out there.
That's so interesting. It's funny, like you said, I think in these last few years with the COVID pandemic, the market has done some interesting things we haven't really seen before.
For
Like
sure.
you said, those bidding wars, I think those really discouraged a lot of people. And, having all those bids over asking price. Even like you said, earlier, some people were waiving concessions, waiving rights that they should have, but doing so much, to try to really lock down a home. And so to know that there's inventory there and we're not quite where we were a year ago, there's a little more time for you to really do your research, to really think with your realtor, is this something that you want, versus making those impulse moves that we saw a lot of people have, and unfortunately had a lot of buyer's remorse later. So I think it's really good that we're seeing a little bit of a shift with there being a lot more inventory, and not as crazy bidding. I wouldn't say it's a buyer's market just yet, but it's definitely shifting. So hopefully that's encouraging for some people. And so while we're kind of on the topic of all the crazy things that happened during COVID, what would you say? Do you feel like any of the COVID issues that came, have any of
Mhm.
those impacted the home buying process heavily?
I want to first start off by saying to our healthcare heroes, our essential workers, we are forever in debt to you guys. We thank you, we thank you, we thank you. I cannot thank you enough because you guys ensured that the world still had some level of normalcy, I guess. And that we were protected and we were cared for and we received and got essentials that we need. We would not be here and through all of that without you. So first and foremost, thank you. But yes, it did feel and look a little different than it had been in the past, just because it had been so super competitive. But even through COVID, it was still extremely, competitive. It was active and thriving. We real estate was deemed an essential business, so it was a blessing and an honor that we were still open for business despite the entire world being in a pandemic. But if I had to say anything, I would say that we noticed a lot of the financial process, so the financing process got very, very tight, when it came to verifying income information. People lost jobs, you know what I mean? So you had work loss, so that impacted what could be potentially going on, or income, qualifying income that was available. So I would say that it was very diligent in verifying information when it came all the way up to closing. I mean, they were literally making phone calls day of closing, like, are you still to your employer, are you still employed,
Mhm.
type of thing. And I think a lot of that just came from the lenders wanting to protect themselves. Of course, they're lending the money to get the home, but also protecting the consumer as well, so protecting our buyers from future financial hardships, like really making sure that, hey, you have active, employment and income, in addition to all the other criteria that, needed to be in line in order to qualify. So we don't have another 2008 type of situation. Lots more technology use. I sold houses via FaceTime. So lots of FaceTime, lots of Zooming. If you weren't necessarily technology savvy, a lot of even us educating clients through new processes, because electronic, to keep everybody safe. And then I would definitely say the safety practices, so that we keep ourselves safe. Sorry, I can't talk today, guys. And our clients safe. But ultimately, still a very thriving, you know, market, considering, what was going on. But I would just say, if anything, it was just on the financial side and how we kind of went about certain practices. There were masks, there was social distancing and things that had to take place so that we all remained and stayed safe.
Definitely. And I definitely echo your sentiments. We're really grateful for all the essential workers.
Mm.
I mean, that literally put their lives on the line every single day. Some of them unfortunately even lost their lives to make sure that we were taken care of. And so although COVID is not gone yet, unfortunately, things
Mhm.
have definitely uptick for the better.
For sure.
And so we're hoping they'll continue to trend that way. It definitely was an interesting time for real estate. I think it still is an interesting time for real estate, even kind of coming off of that high. What would you say are some of the more recent trends that you've noticed in the past few months?
So though I don't have a crystal ball to say exactly what we're going to experience and what's going to necessarily happen, I do think that the market is starting to normalize and kind of self-correct itself, but it is still very much thriving. But I mean, here's a few things that we kind of been noticing in the open market. So rates, yes, yes, rates. Everybody wants to talk about rates. We're definitely seeing a lot of fluctuation in that department, definitely up higher versus the prior years. So that's definitely impacting affordability, which is extremely frustrating for consumers. So we're spending a whole lot more time just really going to the drawing board to come up with strategies, whether that's down payment assistance to increase buying power, looking at different type of programs that are available, you know what I mean, to put them in the best possible situation that we can. Because the one thing that has not happened this entire time is there's been no depreciation of homes. The prices of homes have only increased. That's it. That's it. So if you're a homeowner, I'm sure you're sitting and looking at equity and very, very happy with your decisions that you made in the past. But not to get off topic, but we've been spoiled over the last couple of years. We had been sitting at 4% since what, 2019. I think 2019 was like 3.94. 2020 was right at about 3. 2021 was 2.96. So when people are seeing 5s and 6s, I mean, that's actually still historically low. But it does impact affordability and quite a few other things when you think about, hey, can I, jump into a home situation? So rates we've seen increases in. It's definitely less competitive. We got more inventory available. So we went through a period where, hey, you could not even, sight unseen, FaceTime to see homes while consumers and clients were at work, just so we can get the opportunity to give them a visual before we put in offers. So less competition, and things are staying on the market a little bit longer, so you can browse and kind of window shop a little bit and explore all your options that you do have available. The one thing that I do like, because I love doing this, is I'm seeing a whole lot more negotiating. There's a whole lot more conversations going on. There's not, okay, it's highest and best, and highest and best, and that's it. It's more conversations happening between us and our fellow colleagues. So whether I'm on the listing side or buying side, like, we're really sitting down, strategizing, figuring out, hey, these are my clients' goals, these are your clients' goals. How do we meet in the middle and put together and formulate an offer that's going to work, and we see this all the way through to the closing table? So that's been good. Definitely we've been seeing sellers. Sellers have been spoiled for a good little while. But we've been seeing a whole lot more flexibility with terms. So, those contingency waivers are not there. People want their contingencies in place. And then the sellers really, incentivizing and working. I've been seeing concessions and repairs and extensions and all kinds of things happening to get the deal done. So that's also, something promising for both sides, because we got to work with one another. And then builders, they had a period where it got very chaotic in new construction world, where some of the requirements for holding a home, getting a home, waiting list, all of that craziness. Now you're seeing all of the incentives rolled out to get buyers in and take a look at that inventory and hopefully lock them down, because we're just in a different space. Doesn't mean in a bad space. We're just in a different space right now.
Yeah. And I love the in-depthness of your answer there, because it's not so clear cut, right? Like, there's real estate is an ever-changing market, and so there is kind of that glim of hope that things are not as bleak as the know may make it kind of seem sometimes. But for those of us that are, there assisting clients, every day, we know, it's not an easy process, but there's a lot, that can assist. There's a lot of help there. There's a lot of information there. And it really just depends on you as a consumer. What are you willing to work with? What are you willing to part with? How much do you want your deal, and what exactly do you want for yourself? And so I do see we do have a question in the chat. So the question here, it says, besides just owning a home, what is one of the more benefits of owning versus then renting?
Okay. Well, first and foremost, I would say typically, everybody's financial picture is different, but typically most people are going to have a 30-year fixed mortgage. Your lease is typically for 12, 13 months, maybe 14, or maybe even 18 months. But thereafter, that's going to increase every renewal. So you're dealing with more stabilized home in expense for at least the next 30 years. So that's number one for me. You have a whole lot more flexibility as far as what you can do with the property. So yes, in certain rental properties, you can paint and different little things, but you really have the creativity to do whatever you want to do with your property. So whether that's adding on, knocking out walls, I mean, you can go complete HGTV
Mhm.
with your home. But most importantly, you're pouring back in your community. I probably should have said that first, because homeowners, guess what? Once you become a homeowner, you're contributing to roads, you're contributing to schools, you're contributing to all those things that make our communities. So I mean, I can probably go on a laundry list of a lot of different things, but dealing with something that's fixed versus something variable and you're not knowing, I mean, everyone knows in the Tampa Bay area, we heard the cries. We dealt with renters this year with how much rent increased versus those homeowners or those first time home buyers who we sat down and had consultations with and spoke to, and they got themselves in their very first little home in the last couple of years. They're either leveling up to get into their dream home now, or they're just in a fixed, comfortable situation where they're happy and they're content and their kids are in great schools and all those type of things. So it just creates a whole lot more stability, when you think about a variety of different things.
I love that.
Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really great answer. And thank you for that. And there's another question, I guess it kind of piggybacks off of that one. How do you know as a consumer if you're even in a position to buy?
You call us. But in all seriousness, we do consultations all the time. We do those in persons, we do those via Zoom, and we do those via phone. And it's really sitting down, having a very transparent conversation about where you stand financially. You know what I mean? Answering all your questions. Either you have someone that you have a lender that you know and trust, or we can partner you with a lender that we know and trust, that can really get down to the meat of where you stand financially, how much you can afford. Because at the end of the day, yes, this is how we make a living, but I'm not here to just throw people into homes where you're going to be in a financial hardship next year or the year after next, or even a few years down the line. We generally want to help people change their lives and impact their family in a positive way. And you can't do that through home ownership. So it's just as simple as a consultation. We sit down, we figure out, hey, where you are you renting? When is your lease up? Are you comfortable breaking it? If you're not, we come up with a strategic game plan on, okay, hey, maybe there are some credit opportunities and challenges. Okay, what do we need to work on? What resources do we have available to work on that for you or to assist you with that? So it's just a matter of a conversation. Everybody's financial picture is different. So I can't say it's just cut and dry, black and white, where, hey, this is what you need to do type of thing. Because more than anything, before we can go look at houses, before we even get in the car and we start having that conversation, you need to have a pre-approval. And the reason that you want to have a pre-approval is you want to be in the driving seat. We want to know what type of program you qualify for, because every home is different. We need to know how much purse we have, how much can we spend. And if we go looking at houses without the purse ready, it's just setting us all up for failure and a lot of wasted time. So consultation with Sequenis, consultation with any member of our team. Call Sequenis first, call her, have a chat with her, and we'll set up a strategic plan to see what we need to do and how we need to do what we need to do to get you there. Because trust, I mean, some people are prepared and ready within a month. Sometimes it's 3 months, sometimes it's 6 months. I've worked with clients that it's been years, or sometimes it's a year. So everybody's financial picture is different. And that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Our goal is to get you there. Our goals is your goal, which is to get you to the closing table. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely. And, it's really interesting that you mentioned, everyone really is in a different financial situation, right? We hear all these numbers, that you should have this amount saved, or, you should have this credit score, or you should have all these different things, and it's great if you have those things. That puts you in a much better position. But even if you don't, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're completely counted out. There's so many different things that are available. There's so many different resources, even just speaking locally in the Greater Tampa area, that a lot of first-time home buyers aren't even aware of. And so that's actually going to be one of our next episodes, that we're going to sit down and kind of talk a little bit about some of the down payment and different programs and resources available for first-time home buyers. But I do see one last question. I think you kind of touched on this a little bit.
I just want to touch on one other thing. So as low as a 580 to a 600 with additional ruling and underwriting rules, you can get qualified. FHA guidelines is a 600. A 640 is required for down payment assistance, and there is tons of down payment assistance available. We have Hometown Heroes, you have city, you have county, you have bond. I have several customers that I helped last year, $25,000 in down payment assistance available. Ideally, you want to be at a 680 or better, because yes, your credit profile, your credit is like your adult report card. They don't know you. You need 6 figures to buy a home. They need some type of reference of what your behavior, what your financial behavior looks like. So keep those things in mind. When it comes to down payment assistance, reach out to Sequenis, because there are a ton of programs available. People think you have to have tons and tons and tons of, yes, you do need to have some money saved up and available for the purchase of the home and during the transaction for due diligence type stuff. And also for emergencies, because once you get in the home, you're responsible. It's not like rent where you got to call landlord comes in. So you do need to have that little cushion and stuff available, but there's tons of resources available. Please, please, please reach out to us so that we can help you tap into those.
Definitely. And I think you answered our last chat answer perfectly. So you kind of were ahead of us.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. But definitely appreciate all the information that was offered here. Any last words or parting pearls of knowledge for our viewers?
If you don't remember anything that I said today, please remember this. Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. Simple as that. And that, of course, we are here to help you at De Costa Realty. So DeCostaRealty.com, De Costa Realty on Facebook, De Costa Realty on Instagram. Please message us. We are here to turn your real estate goals into a reality. We genuinely are all about educating our consumers and putting you in the best possible position to achieve your goals. So I'm so honored to be here today. And we're here to truly and honestly, help the community as much as we possibly can.
Awesome. Love it. Well, thank you so much. That leads us right up to the end of our time. I just want to thank all of our viewers one more time.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us
in
your very busy schedules. And definitely stay tuned. Definitely give us a follow, Tampa and Wesley Tampa Real Estate with Sequenis. And we'll just kind of give you some more information about what the local news is and some upcoming events later in the year. Again, we do have more live Q&As coming up. In fact, our next one will be more about down payment assistance in Hillsborough County and Pasco. So definitely stay tuned. But until the next time, thank you guys and have a blessed evening.
Bye.